In this third video, we're going to look at how to sculpt the side surface here so that you can just get a little bit more interest form-wise and all with this before we go on and start adding in details and all. Okay? Basic philosophy, start simple, keep it nice and simple to start with, get that to work, and then add complexity. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? Now, unfortunately, this, if you're looking at the reference file and you didn't complete the part earlier, I do have in here step 2 that you can start with. The problem is this doesn't have history. Okay? Now the model may be sitting here if you want to go back and play with that to do it that way, but just be aware it won't actually be able to do it exactly like this. The sculpting part but will work, but the actual fillet updating won't. Okay, so just be aware of that. Now just realized that when I was modeling earlier, a lot of this stuff got placed on the default layer. Okay, so I'm going to quickly pick all this geometry and just come in here and assign it to this other modeling layer. Take care of it that way. Alright, got everything in here we need. So now, this is how you sculpt. So if I pick this particular surface, okay, and over here underneath my control panel default, I turn the CV and hull lines on. Okay, so even when it was originally created, it really looked that big. And now that it was involved in a surface fillet operation, it has actually been trimmed down, but it still has all this other reference geometry here available so that you can start pulling and pushing on it. So I'm going to put the shaded mode on so you can see this a little bit, and I'm going to start by picking a couple CVs right here in the middle. I'm going to say move, and I'm going to use the middle mouse button because I want to constrain it to the Y direction. Let me turn the grid on so maybe we can see it. There it is. So we want to go this way, perpendicular to the surface in essence. So let me go to move, middle mouse button. Now, it'll give you this warning about losing the construction history. It ends up what it's losing is relative to the curves that were used to create it. The surface fillet, which is this magenta line running around, won't lose it. Okay? So go ahead and say yes, you got to, or otherwise you can't do this. And then, like I said, we're going to use the middle mouse button. Oh, that's different. And pull this out and sculpt it out. Now, let's see if it by chance updates. That's interesting. Never seen that happen before. So maybe I'll try to do it here a little bit. But let me go ahead and sculpt this out. Now it is updating the surface fillet. Why it untrimmed itself, I'm not quite sure. Okay, so got that little part. So this now undulates out a little bit. That's good. I think I see the problem right there. So we'll go try to fix this here in a second. Okay. Now let's see. Pick nothing. I'm gonna pick some more CVs in the upper corner here. I'm gonna move this over. Yeah, it's a little tough to see it, but okay. And that technically shouldn't have done too much, but let's really do something more extreme by picking these CVs right there, the 4 that's kind of the very front, and moving those over. Okay. And you can see then once it updates. Okay. So it is working, and once again you can keep sculpting the form around, doing other things within reason. I mean, it may get to a point where it just gets pushed out of whack too much or doesn't intersect anymore. That's probably the more common part with it. Here, let me pick this set and then move this inwards a little bit. Awesome. Okay, now let's see if we can go fix this surface fillet here. Okay, because you can see it's messing up, I think, right there at that joint. So to get back to a tool like this, what you can do is go either to Windows, Information History View, and it'll bring this up, or you can go to this little H icon at the end of the prompt line, click on that, and it takes you to the same window. The last set of tools used is at the bottom, and you can click on the little icon there, and that actually brings up then the tool. Okay, back to what state it was set to. Now, I suspect part of this, let's see if we can remove the edge line. Let's see if that takes care of that first to start with. Update. Okay, it did. Good. But let's see, did it clean it up enough? Yeah, I think it did. It was think right there in that little joint that was having some problems with it. Okay. Now let me show one other thing. I didn't really cover this. I'm kind of done with my sculpting. I'm going to turn off the CVs again. I'm going to go back in and choose that tool again. And what I want to show you is that up here under radius type, this is set to G1, okay? Which for these other ones you need that, all right? But for this one, we can do something different, maybe circular. Let's see what that gives us. Hit update. Okay, so what that means is this is the cross section. What does that look like when it's G1? It's going to be looser, okay? So it doesn't match up perfectly or blend across this perfectly, but it's a pretty good job. As you go from G1 to G1 tangent, that in essence creates a relationship where this has to match up with this sooner. Otherwise it would blend out more. So it does give us kind of a nice, more smoother representation. So let me go with that. Okay, cool. Alright, now let me pick nothing, pick object, very important. And that's kind of it. We'll start looking at adding some details in, and that next part is going to be the wheels.